Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. Thank you for your presence. So today, inshallah, we are going to have an amazing speaker, Ms. Lubna, and she is with training with us, and she is a writing specialist, and she is an instructor in English Language Institute. Ms. Lubna has a master's in English language with SATA and Delta certification from University of Cambridge, and she is a Cambridge certified teacher trainer. And Lubna is also a member of curriculum and testing section at ELI, Women's Main Campus. Herself a prolific writer and eloquent speaker, she is passionately involved in empowering learners to become better English writers and speakers. Lubna's Delta research, combined with her teacher training responsibilities, have afforded her the unique opportunity to explore teacher-student interactions that facilitate and enhance learning. As a teacher, she aims at consistently trying to enhance learners' motivation and writing skills in order to make them proficient writer. So thank you, Ms. Lubna, for joining us, and over to you. The floor is yours, Ms. Lubna.
Yes, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we can see the PowerPoint. Yep, it's visible, but it's in the window.
Right.
The slides are visible.
The slides are visible.
Yeah.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah, it's better now. Those who cannot see the slide, they should go ahead and refresh the page, and there they will find the slides. Like they will be able to see the slides.
This way, I'm just not able to see the messages in the chat box. That's why I kind of minimized it. Can I do it this way?
Yeah, sure. Whatever suits you.
Yeah?
Yeah,
all
sure.
right. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Rabia, and thank you also to the Academic Writing Center for hosting me today. So, you still can't see the Ms. Rabia, can you see the slides?
Yeah, they are visible. Those who cannot see the slides, they should refresh the page, and I'm sure they will be able to look at the slides.
All right. Yes, thank you so much, Academic Writing Center, for giving me this opportunity. And a big thanks to Ms. Doa Zawawi. She was the one who encouraged me to do this because I've not presented for Academic Writing Center in a very long time. So this is my first in years. My title today is Leveraging Critical Thinking Strategies in Teaching Academic Writing. So it's basically all about teachers using critical thinking strategies to develop academic writing. Let's look at the preview. What we're going to do today is look at features of academic writing and how we're going to incorporate critical thinking strategies when teaching academic writing, and also exploring the gamification of these strategies. By gamification, I mean like making a game with everything and anything related to academic writing, which is possible, hopefully. And then finally, using peer checking to develop academic writing skills. Let's look at the first part now, the features of academic writing. I'm sure you all know the features of academic writing for sure, right? So here, we have some features of academic writing, some characteristics, and some of them, a couple, are not characteristics of academic writing. So if you could just mention these in the chat box, just the, those mentioned here that are not features of academic writing. In the chat box is fine. Okay, let me maximize the slides. All right. So anyone, which of these are not features of academic writing? I think I see. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mu'taz and Mr. Intiqab. Yes, academic writing is definitely not subjective and it's not colloquial. Yes. And also, the fact that it's evidenced and objective, by default, it can't be subjective, right? It's not about your personal opinions, right? Thank you so much, everybody who type the answer. Thank you. So yes, it's structured, it's evidenced, it's objective, it's critical and balanced and formal. Definitely not subjective and also not colloquial. It can't have informal expressions and phrases. Thank you so much. Of course, the fact that it's structured, it also implies that it's genre based and it's also very fixed. The structure is prime, it's not very fixed, it's predominantly fixed, right? I mean, it's like the structure, for example, an academic essay, we know how the structure is. It's like the introduction, then the body paragraphs, and then the conclusion. So, what is good about this is that we can actually give our students outlines and graphic organizers so that the fact that it is structured is actually a good thing for our students. One example is this structure, the basic essay structure, and it's more for the students than for you. But if you could just look at it and see what's happening here, it's like matching the parts of the essay to the name of the section. So first, of course, is going to be the first part of the essay is going to be the introduction, right? Which has the hook. It's all it's scrambled here, but because it's meant because the students are meant to put it in order. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Motaz. It is first is B, and then it is C, and then A, of course. So introduction, of course, would have the hook, the background, the thesis statement, the very, very infamous thesis statement, because of course, thesis statements are a big deal in academic writing. And then for the body paragraph, you have the topic sentence, the evidence, the analysis, and transition. And this framework for the body paragraph, it varies, right? You have like, I think, a few frameworks that you can follow for the body paragraph. One of this is the Peel framework. We're going to look into it later. And then, of course, the conclusion, which is restating the theses, summarizing the key points, and then the final thoughts. Thank you so much for the answer there, Mr. Motaz. And then, of course, the fact that it's structured also helps you to give the students infographics and also because I'm not going to touch upon the uses of AI and how it can be leveraged because that's going to be a whole different track. We're just going to look at an infographic for how to write a thesis statement. When you provide something like this to the students, it makes it easier for them to follow the format. Yeah, like for example, here you have the thesis statement with like the steps on how to actually arrive at a proper one. It's not very big, but let me read out to you. The first step is to identify the topic. What is your essay topic? What is your essay about? And step two is to take a position, what your argument is, and then you provide supporting points for it, and then finally you combine all of the three steps in the fourth step, right? Um, just a moment. Okay, just give me a minute, so I can, if you could just give me a minute. I did the individual window, and that's how I've set it up. I've done it, right? Miss Rabia, this is what I've done.
Choose the
But
option manually.
when
Yeah,
I do it this way, I'm not able to see the chat messages. That's my
yeah. You
point.
can you can go and click the two boxes above. So if you set it up manually, it will help. Like it will switch in between the chat and the slides itself. So it's going to help you a lot. Yeah, switch
As
to
you can see,
manual.
I've
Yeah, yeah. There is this
switched to
option
manual.
manual. Yeah, manually.
Okay, all right, this one.
Yep. And then
Okay,
thank you.
all right, thank you. Sorry for the interruption there. Okay, and this is another, like I was talking about the framework for a body paragraph. This is another framework, of course, still, I'm sure you're aware of it. The point, then you have the evidence, and then the explanation, and finally the link, right? The link either to, I don't know what that sound was, but either to the, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with Rabia.
Yeah, it's
I
working now.
mean,
It's like it's very visible. Yeah, okay. Sorry for the interruption, everybody.
Okay. So yes, the first one is of course the point, right? This is another way you can make your students think about what and where the point has to come, and where the evidence, and where the explanation, and where the link. So here I've color coded it. You might not want to color code it, but color coding is always a very successful scaffolding technique. So what you could do is you could have it like this and ask the students to put these words in the right place, so they know that the topic sentence or the point is the first part of the body paragraph, and then you have the evidence, and then and usually the evidence has a statistic or a quote or something that gives a concrete reflection of what you're trying to say. And then finally you have the explanation, and then it goes on to the link either to the thesis or the next paragraph. So this is an easy way to provide the basis of a structure to your students when you start. And we are still with the structured part. Okay. Now, when I mention that all academic writing should be evidence-based, it has to have facts, reasons, examples, statistics, citations. I'm sure you know all of this. And then now we come to the crux, the main core of this session. Academic writing has to be based on critical analysis. all good academic writing. And I'll show you in a moment why it is so. All right. So now we have like why, sorry, here in this slide, we're looking at academic writing being based on critical analysis, and this implies questioning assumptions, evaluating sources, identifying contradictions, providing justifications, considering counter arguments, using a formal tone and style, and drawing logical conclusions. All of these imply some kind of critical thinking. Now, as I mentioned, critical thinking is the essence of great academic writing, and I will prove this to you. All right. So we have a prompt or a question. Describe and discuss the most effective ways to address students' dependence on ChatGPT. This is a very common problem that teachers face, right? In the current teaching scenario. ChatGPT is our nemesis. It is our boon and bane. Don't you agree? Uh, of course you agree, or no, you don't? Yes, of course. So this is like a good, I'm giving you an example question for academic writing. Okay, this is not like the prompt. Nowadays, we have to be so careful about the words we use because the word prompt, maybe 10 years back would have meant the prompt for essay writing or a prompt for a report or prompt. But now when we say the word prompt, it's like, oh, you're talking about the ChatGPT prompt, right? So I'm here. This is an actual prompt, the traditional prompt. All right. So yes. So now describe and discuss. And I chose a prompt that could be interesting to us. So now describe and discuss the most effective ways to address students' dependence on ChatGPT. Now, there is a great way of writing. Sorry, there's a good way of writing this and a great way of writing the answer for this. Good way would be like, okay, you're just going to focus on directed actions like describe and discuss. So you're just going to describe and discuss. Like that's going to be a meh, like a normal standardized response. But a great academic response would be when you focus on the why and the implied actions, the hidden actions. Like, for example, they're not just telling you to describe and discuss, they're also telling you to evaluate the most effective ways to address students' dependence on ChatGPT. So this I think, I mean, this was just a way to show you how important critical thinking is in academic writing, right? Okay, yes, I don't know what just happened there, but I thought someone was posting a comment. All right. Now, sorry about the typo there. This is a basic distinction of two essential critical thinking skills, analysis and synthesis. Now, analysis is, of course, now there's something here that I want you to do. So what do you think is analysis and what do you think is synthesis? Because these are two very crucial, very important, essential, critical thinking skills. So how are we, so what goes with what? Anybody? So analysis is breaking down or combining? And a synthesis breaking down or combining? What do you think? Anyone? When we realize, yes, so yeah, right, Mr. Taj. Yes, analysis is breaking down a concept or an argument or a source into its components to examine how it works. And synthesis is like when you combine multiple sources, perspectives, or ideas to create a new understanding or argument. So these are like the two crucial, absolutely essential critical thinking sub-skills. Now, when we talk about analysis, how can we not talk about topic analysis, right? I mean, the most important part about academic writing is to look at the topic. The topic, and most of our students fumble with this. They don't get the starting point right. They're supposed to analyze the topic. And topic analysis is like a whole subject, a whole branch in itself, right? You have to clarify the key terms. First, you identify the key terms, then you clarify them, you address the ambiguities, then you highlight the key themes, you identify what you're supposed to do there, and then you outline the boundaries. When I talk about outline the boundaries, for example, when if you go back to the prompt I was talking about a minute ago, the most effective ways of addressing students' dependence on ChatGPT, you would know that the prompt is restricting you to ChatGPT, not to being dependent on devices or social media. Or so try to understand the boundaries of the topic, and when you try to do that, that kind of keeps you structured and within um, the limitations of the prompt. Now, but when I mentioned that we can gamify literally anything, you can gamify topic analysis. For example, you put students in groups and ask them to analyze a prompt based on a checklist. Of course, you have to give them a checklist, like what exactly, and the checklist could be made from these points, like have you clarified the key terms? Have you addressed the ambiguities? Have you highlighted the key themes, identified the actions, outlined the boundaries? So then you could actually give them this checklist and ask them to do analysis of the topic. And the students who come up with the best work, who are able to tick off the maximum boxes in the checklist, would be the winners. So this is what I mean by gamification. When you put them in groups and give them a task, they actually, and of course you have a reward for them, right? So that kind of gamifies anything and everything. Now let's go to synthesizing. Of course, when you teach them synthesis, you have to teach them note taking, reading, active reading, and annotating. And also, you could possibly adapt the SOAR method. The SOAR method, well, we're going to go to it in the next slide, but that has like various adaptations, especially in today's teaching scenario. It's been adapted for um, so many other things besides academia. But then the SOAR method can be very well applied to academia, like I'm going to show you now in a minute. And then, of course, synthesizing also enables students to enables the academic writers to have more coherence and cohesion in their writing. Like, for example, cohesion, work is more cohesive when you have the appropriate transition signals. So all of this can be achieved, and also the meaning, the logical flow of meaning or coherence is also very important. And all of this is achieved by teaching them how to synthesize. Now, like I just mentioned, the SOAR method. So have you seen variations of the SOAR method? Have you come across variations of the SOAR method? If you could it is actually, it was the SOAR method was actually, first put into, not first, but popularly used by Quenneth, Dr. Quenneth from the University of Nebraska, and he used it to try and make his college students get more structured when they are writing academic essays. And the most important thing about this is, like, it's an acronym, of course. So the SOAR method is basically teaching students, and it puts together cognitive research and information processing theory. And what it stands for is, S stands for select, when the students select the important information, they are able to record the key ideas, and you can give them skeleton notes for this, right? And then organizing is also absolutely essential, because the students brainstorm and organize ideas, then they associate what they what the new information they've come across to the previous information or the background information they have. And then finally, regulate. Regulate is, here it's related to the students monitoring their own learning, or their ability to use a variety of methods to check on themselves if they're on the right track. I mean, whether it is within the restrictions of writing an academic essay, or for meta language purposes, or metacognitive purposes, like if they're able to stay on track with the assignment and all of that. But here, regulate means to be able to monitor if they are, for example, keeping within the boundaries of the topic. So I just asked you a question. Have you seen any variations of the SOAR method? Because there are variations, and also related to education. Okay. Now let's go to the strategies to teach critical evaluation. Now here, of course, this is like a broad general way of teaching your students to be critical thinkers, right? For example, you inculcate routines that foster critical thinking, critical evaluation. For example, if there's a problem in the class, for example, students are not able to arrive at a consensus about when to have that online session. Yes, of course. That's a very good question. Um, Descriptive, analytical, persuasive, and critical. Yes, everything it comes within the parameters of critical thinking, even description. Because even if you're just describing, it maybe not perhaps the higher order critical thinking skills, but it does involve critical thinking skills, right? So, like you have to inculcate critical thinking skills in class, like encourage the students to ask the question why. I keep telling them, like, do not accept things as at face value. Try to question authority, as not authority, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. Quite try to question norms, like, why do we do this? Is there a reason for this? Because that's going to make them critical thinkers in the real sense of the term. And if there are two distinct opinions in the class, try to have a debate. I mean, each of them can put forth their justifications, and then they can arrive at a consensus. Um, and then, like, if there is a problem, you can elicit or brainstorm solutions with the students and try to narrow them down to the most effective solution. So here you're evaluating. So literally you're trying to encourage students, you're empowering students with critical thinking strategies that they can transfer to academic writing as well. Now, major challenges related to students in our context, in our teaching context. They love memorization. The very question they ask at the beginning of a year. It's like, Miss, do you know do you know what questions we are going to get for the writing exam? Have you heard that? Have you come across students who always ask you that question? Please, you know, if you're teaching the prep year, I'm sure you would, but students tend to find a comfort zone in knowing what prompts they would get and trying to memorize them. The memorized, yes, always. And they have this intense need to conform to authority because especially in the school years they have been, yes, that's their comfort zone. They have been taught that the teacher is the major authority figure, and that's it. Nothing else is important. So their need to rely on a knowledgeable other is so predominant that they fail to think for themselves. Their need to be within the box is so important. Somebody just raised, are we supposed to take questions now?
It's up
Miss
to you. You
Rabia?
can open the floor after you are done, right? It's up to you.
All right, yeah, that's what I thought, but uh, I heard the, okay, no worries. Okay, now our students also have their strengths, their amazing strengths, yeah. Their reliance on rote memorizing is not a very ordinary skill, right? No matter what anybody says, like, oh, you're just memorizing and puking. That's what you're doing. But memorizing is a very important skill as well. Ask people who are trying to memorize the Quran, or I mean, especially at our age, memorizing is really difficult. So, I mean, if our students are able to do it with a finesse, why not utilize this, right? And I'll show you how you can actually do that. And their inclination to feedback, they love feedback from you, which is a very, very nice thing because they think you give them feedback and they're immediately going to absorb the feedback, assimilate it, and it's going to be, you know, and you're not going to make the mistake again. So yeah, these are their strengths. They are able to memorize very well, and they are they love feedback, especially without a red pen, and as long as it doesn't jeopardize their scores, then feedback is wonderful for them. In fact, they'll come to you a million times, a billion times even, right? Okay, so when I was thinking about memorization, I always bring in Thornbury, no matter what session I do. So he was the one who was talking about how memorization of short texts may offer a foothold into the language and provide the feel that other grammar-focused approaches do not provide. So memorization is actually a legitimate skill that we can use. And how do we use it? Of course, there are formulaic chunks in all kinds of writing, right? I mean, whether it is academic writing, but because we're dealing with academic writing, yes, we have chunks that students can memorize and use, right? Now, memorization plus sentence frames or templates, better writing. I'm hoping you all agree with this. And then you can use ready-made chunks. We can provide them. Oh my God, you can't hear me. Miss Rabia, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, very clearly. You can
Okay.
refresh. Yes, you
All
refresh,
right.
and then
Yes.
they will be able to hear.
So providing them with, so how much time do I have left, Miss Rabia?
It's 25 minutes. Thank you.
Wow. All right. So I have to speed it up a bit now. All right. So formulaic chunks, collocations, clusters, sentence frames are all very useful here. And of course, I don't know how many of you have heard of this book, They Say, I Say. It's by Gerald Graff and Kathy Berkenstein, and this is like a traditional. This was the pre-AI book where they actually have sentence frames for students to start or commence academic writing. And for example, the they say and the I say is for introducing counter arguments and arguments. All right. So when you have words, because I have come across students who would make errors with words like acknowledges, argues. So when you give them these sentence frames, at least this bit would be error free, hopefully, right? And there's also another source of ready-made chunks for learners. Any idea where you can get um, ready-made chunks for your learners to use? Anybody? Mm, these could be phrases, sentence frames, sentence starters. So where else could you get them from besides books like they say? Yes, academic. Yeah, yes, but any other source? I can hear dictionaries. Okay, all right. Yeah, but dictionaries wouldn't. A ready-made chunk is like this. On the other hand, some argue that it's a phrase that you can use to start a sentence. That's a ready-made chunk. Okay, so the answer is, oh, thank you so much, Miss Dua. You stole my thunder, Dua. Miss Dua. Yeah, yes, the corpus, and you have like um, the British Academic Written English Corpus and also the Academic Phrase Bank. So for the British Academic Written English Corpus, you can either access it through the Oxford Text Archive or Sketch Engine, and even LexTutor has it. So I'll show you how you get onto that page. And then you have the Academic Phrase Bank as well. So for example, Sketch Engine, you just have to type Sketch Engine and there you have like all of these things that you can do, that you can access when you get onto Sketch Engine. And the most interesting part is the concordance. Here you have the examples of the academic word or the phrase in context. So this is like amazing for students, you know. I mean, you don't even have to depend on AI for this. I mean, if you teach the students to access these websites, they can actually see how a particular academic phrase is used in different contexts. For example, the word leverage, which is a part of my title. So I just enter leverage in the search box and it gives me all the ways it can be used, and it has been used in academic writing, right? So that's what concordance is. And then the academic phrase bank, of course, you have way more features in the academic phrase bank. So all these can be used for your students to access uh, ready-made chunks, sentence phrases that they can use. So it's just like you're making their work easier for them to think about the more meaty part. No, it doesn't. No, 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 because these are ways of using the phrase in an academic way. That's the only way it's supposed to be used. For example, I'll give you a very easy example. For example, homework. You can't say home question, home answer, blah, blah, blah. It's like when you see a phrase in context, you know that is how it's supposed to be used. You know, there's a right way of using. You won't come up with exotic combinations? But that's a good question, Mr. Motaz. But Carpus gives you a very good example of how to use um, phrases or academic phrases or collocations in context. Okay, you've used it, and it's mostly traditional. I thought it wasn't. Yes, Miss Samira, it's actually how they use in real life, but that's for the general English writing. But the one that I spoke about, Miss Samira Al-Zahrani, is the written English corpus, the British Academic Written English Corpus. This one is for the academic writers. Thank you. Oh, I got, there's the aha moment. We are going to get to the aha moment. I have a slide with aha moment. I love aha moments. Okay, the power of effective feedback. When I was talking about feedback, of course, we all know the standardized way of giving feedback, right? I mean, the student submits her work and you give feedback, you give corrective feedback, you give suggestive feedback. But there's another way of giving feedback, gamification of feedback. And this is an adaptation of the grammar auction. I'm sure you've played grammar auction with your students. It's like when you collect one adaptation of grammar auction for feedback is when you check the students' work and you come across common global mistakes that the students are making again and again, and you collect the samples and you mix them with the accurate samples, and you conduct an auction in class and you put the students in groups, give them an imaginary 100 real amount, and tell them, okay, you're going to bid on the statements that you think are correct, and the group that has the maximum correct sentences is the winner. Maximum number of correct sentences. Okay, so I just want to show you in loop format an example of an auction that we can use for feedback. All right, auction for anything and everything, and we are going to have an auction now. I've given you like 100 reals, imaginary 100 reals to each one of you. So you are going to bid on these statements. Before I show you the statement, so I think we all understand what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a statement. I'm going to show you 3 statements, actually. You can read them, and you can decide which one you want to buy with your imaginary 100 reals. And be careful, don't spend all the 100. Okay? Are you ready for the auction, ladies and gentlemen? Hello? This is kind of a pseudo auction. I can't do it like I do it in like the face-to-face classes, but and I can't put you in groups. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to show you 3 statements. Try to read these statements thoroughly and bid on the statements you think are correct. And you can bid for like 50 riyals, 60 riyals, 70 riyals. It goes to the highest bidder. If you're going to buy it for 80 and another wants to buy it for 70, I would sell it to the person who wants to buy it for 80. For the second statement, okay. Can you give me a number, Mr. Motaz? I bid 90 on statement 3. Okay, so Miss Fatma is bidding 90 on statement 3. Does anybody want to buy statement 3 for more than 90? More than 90, statement 3. It goes once, twice, thrice to Miss Fatma. Miss Fatma, you have bought statement 3, okay? Let's see if it's the correct one. All right, who's buying statement 1? I bid 100 on 2, Miss Dua. Okay, fine. It's going to Miss Dua. One, two, three. It's going to Miss Dua. Going once, going twice, and it's gone to Miss Dua because nobody can bid more than 100. All right, now who wants to buy statement one? Nobody seems to like statement one. Statement one for 10. Okay, but actually, statement two and statement three have been purchased. Statement three has been purchased by Ms. Fatma and statement two by Ms. Dua. So it's only one that's left. One for 50. Okay, one for 50. It goes to Mr. Omer. Okay, 60. Okay, Dua, how are you doing this, Dua? How do you have, how did you bid for a 50 and you have a 60 left? I don't understand that. No, Dua, you already finished your 100. You don't have any money left. I'm sorry. Where did the 60 come from? The 3 is already done. So I'm giving the sentence 1 to Mr. Ahmed for a 50. Okay, I see a higher bid to someone named SH for 60. Mr. SH, I don't know who you are. I don't have your full name. It's 3. Yes, 3 sold out. It's gone to Miss Fatma. Okay, do you want to see which are the correct ones? Do you want to just see which are the correct ones? Or the pseudo correct ones? All right. Okay. So one was correct. They actually respond to teacher and peer feedback equally, although there are certain conditions for this. Okay, you have to make it very structured. You have to put them in right kind of groups where there are students who are stronger and who can provide feedback. So yes, they do respond to teacher and peer feedback equally. Okay, I'll show you the references for this. There was a study done on this, and yes, they do. They do. And number one, I don't know why I made it bold, but yes, Dua, you were bidding with your entire life, and it's correct. Handwriting does boost brain connections. It opens up neural pathways that otherwise don't open. So number two is absolutely correct. So Ms. Dua, excellent. Number three, Miss Fatma, it was actually correct, but it wasn't school teachers who are complaining, but college professors. Can you believe that? College professors have reported a major decline in students' willingness and ability to read on their own. Oh my God, how bad is this? Okay, so Miss Fatma, I'm sorry, Miss Dua is the winner. Okay, yay, Dua. Okay, now the efficacy of peer feedback. All right, because I mentioned peer feedback in my objectives, and peer feedback is really, really really effective. Why? Because there's, when you can be blabbing for a million hours, but the students are not going to, especially some students, are not going to register what you're saying. But what happens when you put them in groups and ask them to evaluate each other's work in a very structured and scaffolded way? The results are amazing. Even the weak learners end up with aha moments. Someone had an aha moment, but yeah, okay, that's what the aha moment means here. So like you could put them in groups and ask them to check each other's work and come up with the 2 best essays. And what I would do is display each group selected essays on the walls or someplace convenient so that everybody can read it and come at a consensus on which are the 3 best essays. And when you're asking them to do this, you have to give them a checklist. So when they're checking each other's work, they should have a checklist. And what happens is, like if one student misses a fragment or a run-on sentence, and another student notices it and said, "Oh my God, this is a run-on sentence," and the student who was not listening to the teacher goes, it is a run on sentence. And the one who actually was listening says, you don't know what's a run on sentence? It's a really long sentence without any punctuation, or like with mistakes, it just goes on and on. And then the weaker student would like, oh my God, I didn't know that. So that's an aha moment that happens through peer feedback, right? Okay, so this was one thing. This is one thing you can do. You know, when when you're displaying the essays, also you could put your own feedback at the back, so that when the students are giving their feedback and they give their feedback, and then they see your feedback, they see what's missed. This is so much better than you actually suggesting right answers or it's not so much better, it's equally, it's equally effective. Okay, so the part down here is my feedback, and when the students go through these essays and they give their own feedback with their checklist and they match it with my feedback, it really opens up so many aha moments. Now, epistemic feedback is another kind of feedback which I came across recently, and it's a very interesting kind of feedback, because you don't just correct or suggest things, you ask the student why. Why did you do this? For example, my student the other day, she was writing all her sentences in a very clipped way, like she was removing the verbs and the important like, you know, it wasn't very academic. And when I asked her, she said, when I asked her why exactly are you writing like this, and she goes like, because I wanted to be concise. And I was like, what do you mean by being concise? Miss, I thought being concise meant using just the nouns and like the important words. So she was actually removing the verbs to write in a concise way. And then you were like, oh my God, that's your aha moment when you realize what's happened. So I hope you understand epistemic feedback. Epistemic feedback is when you ask the student why she made the error. Okay? And that opens up so much more of fertile ground for teaching. Now, these are the references for the auction. And these are my references for the other things that are included in this presentation. And with this, we come to the end. Thanks a lot for being so patient. And I'm open to questions now.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lubna. I want to extend my appreciation for your outstanding webinar, and we truly appreciate your expertise and the information that you have imparted. It was valuable. So if you have any questions, dear audiences, you can type in the questions or you can open the mic and go ahead and ask it. Thank you so much.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Well, I'm Dr. Intikhab Khan. I'm at present in the Applied College of King Abdulaziz University. I hope I'm audible enough. People can hear me.
Yeah, it's all right. Not very loud, but it's okay.
Okay. Well, the topic of presentation was wonderful, and the presenter considered all important points. However, 1 hour is not enough to deal with all sort of things. Academic writing and critical thinking, well, if connected, can lead to very fruitful results. But the issue is, due to the shortage of time, academic writing was not properly dealt. Like, what is the difference between general writing and academic writing? In our colleges, especially the first year students, do not
Mm-hmm.
always attempt academic writing, they rather focus on general writing. For example, introduce yourself. I am so and so. I belong to Jeddah. I stay in Azizia. I have five brothers. My father is a manager. So here there is no critical thinking except some kind of vocab which is involved, you know. But when we ask a topic to write on, for example, traffic accidents or accidents in Saudi Arabia, then critical thinking is needed. Why do we meet accidents? What are the reasons of accidents? How can we avoid accidents? There is a very serious issue. This is my own experience, you know. When I brainstorm my students, what could be the possible reasons of so many accidents in Saudi Arabia? And we are probably number one or number two or number three in the whole world as far as the number of accidents is concerned. Well, some of them, some intelligent one or critical thinkers come up with many, many answers. For example, I was fast, or somebody is a fast driver, somebody was using mobile, somebody was eating, and so on and so forth. But there are so many answers which, well, I agree and I don't agree. For example,
Mr. Intikhab Khan,
I'm in
could I just 1 minute? That was a very, yes, of course. There is this huge difference between general writing and academic writing. And I think the most important thing when you introduce students to academic writing is to provide adequate scaffolding, because they're used to general writing and academic writing. Even the most basic form of it is quite challenging to them. Like I mentioned, they're so used to rote memorization and copying and pasting. They need scaffolding, even with small words. I would suggest you have a diagnostic lesson at the beginning, like a kind of a dogma approach. Have a diagnostic lesson at the beginning, and then find out what are the major weaknesses, and then proceed from there. Give them
can I
adequate
just add? Can I just
scaffolding.
add? I'll take just 1 minute, you know. I was talking about the same that we have to focus on the problem, on what is the problem in academic writing. And this problem is basically diagnosis, you know. My work in a PhD is diagnostic studies, so I know. But again, we have to talk about the strategies, strategies
Did
of
someone raise their hands?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
please go ahead. But
Miss Nada.
I was saying something which is very important. Everybody has to think about it. Our students are not involved in critical thinking to that level which we usually
I
talk
agree.
about.
Yes,
Yeah,
we need to inculcate a critical thinking culture in
yes.
Miss
our
Jehan and
classes.
Miss Nada, probably they have some questions. Um, Please go ahead, Miss Jehan. She raised her hand.
Yes, Ms. Johan? She left, yes. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions,
Well, I was asking a question, but I was stopped on the way, so I thought I should keep mum. So,
No, no, it's all
anyways,
right. It's okay.
yeah, I was saying that
Do
when
you
I
have
brainstorm,
anything further to add?
yeah, I was saying that when I ask questions to my students, what could be the reasons of accident? There are multiple of answers, but there is one very important answer. And I don't know how to develop critical thinking when somebody says meeting an accident is a destiny.
Is that what they say?
Yes. هذا قدر. هذا قدر يا دكتور.
So maybe you could elicit other opinions as well. And maybe if someone says, no, it's not, it is very avoidable, then you could have a healthy debate in class. It could
No,
be, it doesn't
if
even have to be
everything
in
is
writing.
gather, if everything is gather, and of course it is gather, which is everything, then why do we recite dua when we take off, when our flights take off? Why do we recite dua as safar when we go for some other journeys? If gather is the only thing. Anyways, this is related to critical thinking, and I think religion also plays very important role in critical thinking. So, psychology, philosophy, education, and religion, these are all important. I don't say it's culture because culture is a different thing. But, anyways, we need to find some strategies how we can enhance critical thinking and academic writing. Our students write sentences, but they don't use first, second, third, next, later. Finally, no academic writing can be completed without these adverbs and connectors. So, well, there can be many other sessions on academic writing and simple rules later on in future, inshallah. Anyway, in summary, the presentation was nice and the presenter was very confident.
Yes, Miss Nargis,
And
where's your question?
Yeah, Miss Nut,
my
she's
question,
asking, yeah, she has typed in the questions and she wants us to read it for you. So she's asking, how
oh,
can we motivate professors to write, think instead of heading directly to ChatGPT
oh,
and yeah, and other AI apps? I
Okay,
mean,
Miss
if there's
Nargis, are
anything.
you talking about motivating professors or students? I mean, that's a
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
ominous
She
question.
rectified her. She said, pardon, students, not professors. It's a good question.
All right, how can we motivate again, it's the same thing. How can we motivate professors? All right, okay, students, yes.
no,
I had
we can develop instructors, through professional development programs which you are doing, and there are many
Thank
other
you so
courses and
much. Thank you so
programs
much,
which
Mr.
are.
Intiqab. I had a similar situation with my business students, and they wanted to be business writing students, and they wanted to, and I know it was like this inherent need to go to ChatGPT. Their topic was discussing pricing strategies in their company, and problems with the pricing strategy, and I could sense they wanted to go and check ChatGPT out, and I was like, how do I prevent them from doing this? So what I did was I got I kind of researched what are all the problems that could be in pricing strategy when it comes to a company, and I made activities with those problems. Like I put them in matching exercises, in sentence frames, and everything. So what happened is after they went through those exercises, they actually got acquainted with problems in pricing strategy. And then they were able to write without asking ChatGPT questions. What I'm suggesting is give them a framework. Do not abolish ChatGPT altogether or any AI, I mean, but give them a framework. If they're going to depend on ChatGPT, show them the ethical way of doing it. Yes, so and try to show them that the traditional way also is quite effective. They become more knowledgeable, and it's just show them the logic behind it. Like if they are going, for example, I told my students, yeah, of course you're going to ask ChatGPT, but when you start working in a company by yourself and there is a impromptu situation where you have to talk about problems with pricing strategy and you have to answer to the CEO, you wouldn't know anything because you asked ChatGPT in the first place. And they were like, yes, I can't. I can't refer to what ChatGPT is saying then. Yes, of course, I need to know myself what the problems are. So as long as you give them a logic for everything, they are going to be with you. And you show them how to use AI as a tool, as an assistant, and not for copying, to just enhance your work. And then, inshallah, it's going to be under. I know we're all looking at these doomsday scenarios concerning AI, but I'm sure there's a way out for all of this. Thank you so much for the question, Ms. Nargis. That was such a good question. Thank you. And it begets a whole session, AI, critical thinking, and academic writing. That's such a good theme for another session. Thank you so much, everybody. Do you have any other questions? So, Ms. Rawia, I think we are done here, hopefully, or
Thank you so
are there any
much.
other
Thank
questions
you.
that I
Thank you, Ms.
overlooked?
Lubna. Those who have any questions, please go ahead if you have none. Thank you so much for joining in the session. And it was a brilliant session, and we totally were engaged throughout. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Rawia.
Please fill in the feedback link to get the certificate. I hope you have done it already.